Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I would like to introduce you to not only a dear and close friend to me, but not even arguably, I would say the top direct response copywriter in the world, Mr. Julian Reyes.
Yeah.
Julian, how are you today?
I'm good, brother. I've been trying to do this interview with you for a while. I've been so slammed, but like crazy slammed in a good way. But I got to make time for my brother from another, and so I'm here.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you being here, and I'm sure everyone else watching this is going to appreciate it. And for those of you that don't know Julian, I just give us a quick overview. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Do you want like the PG version or the real version?
Give me the down and dirty of everything that you do business-wise.
Okay, started off, knew nothing about business or marketing in 2005 as a pickup artist. I taught dudes in New York how to pick up chicks. And I noticed that like a real kind of industry was beginning and real marketers were starting to infiltrate the space. Guys like Eben Pagan and other marketers of note, Lopez back then, this is, 16 years ago. And I was like, man, I guess I got to learn this marketing thing. Can I swear on here, Matt, or no?
Yes, you can.
Learn this marketing shit. And from there, a friend of mine who was quite visionary in his way kind of steered me into direct response copywriting. And at first I, kind of wasn't that good at it. And I was hesitant, but eventually I got really hooked and fell in love with the art form. And co-wrote an offer in 2010 called Pandora's Box. To this day, still the best-selling seduction offer of all time. And then the market in like 2014 started to get very saturated. The CPAs were climbing. Basically, dating advice had sort of seen its heyday already and was on the decline. So I was like, yo, let's do the first gay seduction offer. And it taught gay dudes how to hook up with straight guys. And eventually I changed the tagline from find out if he's curious to if it doesn't feel gay, you can go all the way. And stayed in the dating space for a long time, for over 10 years. Eventually I met Andrew Contreras, who's my business partner. That was like sparks were flying, and we've really had, in
a straight bait way.
Not anymore. It's just, you see a person enough times and the magic wears off. But we have business chemistry up the wazoo. And we started to partner around 2017, 2018, launched our first offer together it was basically the first biblical CBD offer that is now the best-selling Christian offer of all time. We crushed that on our first offer. So I said, Andrew, let's merge. And we merged. And since then, it's really been like exponential growth for us. And we did just under 60 mil top line last year with juicy margin, because that's what matters. Top line is just a vanity metric. But the piece that I'm leaving out of this is the role that Checkout Champ has played in all of this. Because for the first half of my career, I was using different CRMs and CMSs, and there were always big problems. And I met you, I'm going to say, 2000, was it 16?
It had to have been 15.
2015. I had heard a lot of great things about Checkout Champ at that point. Back then, it wasn't even called Checkout Champ. This was like a beta earlier version. But that earlier version of Checkout Champ absolutely obliterated all of the other alternatives on the market. And trust me, I know, because I tried them. Since then, as my business has evolved, it's funny. If there were like a graph that showed correlation between Checkout Champ's evolution and Red Hot's evolution, that's us, there's a direct correlation there.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you talked about linking up with Andrew Contreras, merging the companies, building the largest Christian offer, now huge in the survival realm. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that process. When you and Andrew sit down and you come up with a new product that you're going to innovate, or maybe it's an existing product that you think, wow, I can really take this and scale it to high heaven if I wanted to. What does that process look like, that creative process for you and Andrew?
Well, that's a great question, Matt. I was thinking about it this morning, right? Because I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with business, with marketing, with copy. I'm constantly thinking about them. My girlfriend, who probably ain't going to be my girlfriend much longer, she hates it. She'll look at me. She's like, I'm talking to you. I'm telling you a story. And I'm like thinking about like our AOVs that day. Point being is, I was thinking about it this morning. Earlier in the call, you gave me a fabulous introduction about being the best direct response copywriter in the world. And yes, I'll admit, you are correct. However, the funny thing is what I was thinking this morning was like copywriting. It's a critical skill. It's a very beneficial skill to develop, but it's not nearly as important as the ability to spot a wave. An opportunity in a marketplace. For example, if we had come out with the biblical CBD offer 2 years earlier or 2 years later, it wouldn't have worked, right? The zeitgeist was ready in 2019, not to mention that Trump had passed the farm bill. So now internet marketers could start selling CBD products to the point where that offer worked in that moment of time. And we jumped on that wave at the right moment. To me, that ability to spot an opportunity takes precedence over copywriting. In other words, you could have Chat GPT write a sales pitch for you. But if it's a sales pitch and a concept and a product and an offer that is timed right at the right moment in history, Chat GPT could probably write an offer or even a VSL that converts for you. And it might even crush. Whereas if you take a brilliant copywriter and you give him, a mediocre offer idea or a mistimed offer, it's not going to do that great. In other words, copy is subservient to spotting those waves. And I think that that's what we've had more luck with than anything, is catching those big market opportunities.
That's great. So that leads into my next question. The length of time you've been in business, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned about running your own online business over that many years?
Oh man, what's the biggest lesson I've learned? I think it's this.
Listen to Matt. When you ask Matt Martirano advice, always listen.
Yeah, I mean, some things don't even need to be said, Matt. That's obvious. What I'm saying, like for me, the answer to that question, it's almost not a business answer. It's almost more like of a philosophical answer, which is like if I look at like because I've been in this for more than 15 years now, right? And if I look at my trajectory, for most of my career, I had sort of gradual incremental growth, right? Which is cool. Don't get me wrong. But we didn't hit that hockey stick growth until Andrew and I really partnered, right? But why did we partner? Why did I decide that I needed a partner, right? The brilliant marketer who got me into marketing never needed a partner. He was sort of right-brained and left-brained enough, analytical and creative enough to where he could kind of just manage the whole business, or lead the business on his own. For me, the catalyst to that hockey stick growth and getting Andrew was the realization that I just kind of sucked at a number of things. Like I had some things that I was really good at, maybe one or two, but I had, as a business owner, you have all of these other things you have to do. And I just wasn't very good at a number of those things. So for me, I think the reason I puttered along for so many years was because I didn't have that realization yet of, hey, Julian, you know what? Maybe you can't do what Vin did. Maybe you can't do that. Maybe you're not designed for that. Maybe you need to find somebody that's really good at the things you suck at, because you can't do it all. That realization is what led to me looking for a partner and eventually finding Andrew, and to the hockey stick growth. There's my answer.
Well, and you make a very valid point. I always say, any entrepreneur that comes up, we have conversations. The two things I tell them is hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah.
Right. And because you want to make sure you have the right person. If they're not a fit for your team, get rid of them immediately, because they could be cancerous.
Matt, can I actually make a comment on what you just said? So I had heard that originally years ago. Hire, I think you even said it to me, hire slow, fire fast. Then I heard some marketing guru or somebody say, no, 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 hire fast, fire fast. And I was like, that sounds good. And we tried that, blew up in our faces. You got to hire slow, because if you hire too quickly and someone gets into your business, there can be a massive explosion. So totally right, bro. Keep
And
going.
then the second thing I'll tell people is identify the things that you are good at and enjoy doing. Because there may be things that you enjoy doing that you suck at, right? You just enjoy doing it because it's, you know, a part of your process. But find the things that you're really good at and you enjoy doing, and everything else, pass that off and just let it be passed off. Manage it, make sure it's being done to your standards, but focus on the things that you're really good at. And the one thing that I see, because you and Andrew and I are good friends, and I see you guys interact, and I've seen you manage your business. The thing that I think sticks out to me is your accountability to each other. You know, when it was just Julian or when it was just Andrew, you were just accountable to yourself. So if you failed, maybe it didn't matter as much because you weren't letting anyone down but yourself. You and Andrew truly have a great relationship where if you were to let him down, you would feel bad. And if he let you down, he would really feel bad.
Yeah. And to add on to that, I would even say, and I've said this to Andrew, that a natural, healthy competition exists between us, right? So he's CEO, he's kind of running a lot of the day-to-day operations, and I'm more, you know, I consider myself the magic fairy dust on the business, but sounded super.
I'll cut that out.
Cut that out. I'm the magic fairy dust on the business. But, you know, we have a natural competition between us. And I think that's very healthy. It's almost like who can make the bigger impact, you know, who can make the bigger, have the bigger realizations or the bigger pivots that generate more profits and more growth for the company. And that's really, really healthy. You're right. Having a partner, like if you're an entrepreneur and you're listening to this and you've puttered along and you've been puttering for, you know, more than a year or whatever it is, well, maybe it's because you're doing some things that you either don't love doing, which usually means you're not very good at it. And you got to find somebody, maybe it's not a partner, maybe it's an employee, maybe it's a consultant, whatever, to take that off your plate so you can hyper focus on your superpower. Andrew and I, we are the yin to the yang for each other in a not gay way, except for that one time at your house.
So Julian.
Yes.
What do you like about Checkout Champ versus some of the other native checkout platforms or e-commerce platforms that are out there, such as like a Shopify or a BigCommerce or WooCommerce?
I can give you specifics, but first I can say, because I've tried a bunch of the solutions out there, Checkout Champ's just better. Like, better is not even making the point. Like, you realize with Checkout Champ how many more options you have. You know what the most important thing is? Let's get down to brass tacks. What do people care about? What is the lifeblood of your business? It's profit. It's money. So for me, by far, the biggest advantage that we've had with Checkout Champ compared to everything else, you name it, WooCommerce, Shopify, other CRMs that are out there, is that we have split tested this and your conversion rate is higher with Checkout Champ. Why? I mean, Matt knows the secret sauce. He's got some proprietary crazy tech that just connects to the banks faster, connects to, you know, through the gateway portal faster load speed on that shopping cart means a higher approval ratio on attempted transactions. And for anybody that, you know, is running a lot of volume, they know that in the merchant account world, especially right now, approvals are down across multiple verticals, right? Because the banks, the issuing banks or the customers' banks are all utilizing AI now, these algorithms to, like, you know, block this transaction and this transaction and this transaction. To me, Checkout Champ, I mean, it's a kryptonite that merchants, you know, us merchants are facing. Checkout Champ is the solution to that kryptonite because it's the one thing, it's the fastest processing shopping cart that we've ever used. So that's one thing. Another thing is the ability to customize, right? There's so many, like we're big funnel guys, right? We're not like huge e-com guys. And personally, I think big e-com guys are leaving a lot of money on the table by not at least having some funnels, right? Where you're driving people through where they can only kind of do one thing. And Checkout Champ has so many sick templates for all kinds of the highest converting funnels, like proven funnels. I've seen that. So Checkout Champ's just better. Everything else is a pale shade of gray.
Yeah, tripwires, landing pages, you name it, we have templates for it. But you bring up a great point when you're talking about the merchant processing. So when we look at e-commerce, particularly as it pertains to one platform that everyone knows of, the most popular one that's out there, they use Stripe as their back end for Shopify payments. And when
Wait, does it rhyme with, can I say what it rhymes with?
Sure.
Does it rhyme with cockify?
Sure. Yes, it does. Very closely to cockify. We talk to these clients that are, they're doing $50,000, $100,000 a month with these goals and dreams of being able to scale up to $1 million a month or 2 million or 3 million because they figured out the marketing side. But then when we look at their transaction processing, even on, their Shop Pay, which is Stripe, getting a 60 or 70% approval rate, where if you're doing your merchanting the right way, you can get that up to 85, 90%. It makes a huge difference, especially at the higher levels. If you ran into an e-commerce merchant, Julian, and you found out that they were trying to grow their, $1 million or multi-million dollar a month business on one merchant account, what would you tell them?
I say you're retarded, because can I say, we can't say that anymore. You're mentally challenged. You're mentally challenged because there are so many things that are outside of your control. I don't care if you are running the most white hat compliant offer in the world. Accounts get shut down. Sometimes somebody makes a mistake on the banking side, right? And your account gets shut down. So if you have all of, if you're running rebills and you've got all that stuff and you're running, a large amount of traffic to one account, you are in danger. You have to diversify, especially as you grow, because there's all sorts of crazy, weird banking stories that I know of people getting shut down for something that they either didn't do or something that was the bank's mistake. You got to diversify.
Well, I'm gonna throw out a couple of, let me go through two very scary scenarios. One is a scenario, one is a statement. The first scenario is, in the past 45 days, we've had 3 clients come to us that were using that billing solution I just mentioned. And their chargebacks got up to 0.7 or 0.8. Boom, they shut them down and held their money for 45 days. Think about this. You're running $1 million a month business, and for no reason, your merchant account gets shut off, completely eliminating your ability to process or even operate in business. Now you're scrambling, trying to find a solution. So that's number one. And number two, when you're using that solution in that existing platform, you don't own the data. So now you can't take those customers and move them to one of your other merchant accounts. What kind of business risk are these companies putting themselves in by not owning and controlling their cardholder data?
You bring up a great point, Matt. Like these days at the stage of our company growth, we use the SWOT analysis, and the last letter of SWOT is T, threats, right? We're constantly evaluating, well, what are different threats to our businesses? And we make a list and we talk about the probability of the threat, and we talk about how we can defend against those threats. What you just discussed is one of the biggest threats that exist, no matter how clean your business is.
Yeah. And if you don't have that data, you're done. You've spent all this time and money and sweat and tears, and you put all of your energy into building this business, and 0.7, not even 1%, 0.7% of a chargeback gone. You're done. Everything that you've put into it.
Affiliate traffic, and one naughty affiliate gets in, they can easily spike you up, and you didn't do anything wrong.
Oh, Julian, and I'm sure it's happened to you too, but we've seen even the cleanest operators in the world get hit with some scumbag that's trying to run stolen credit cards, and your fraud ratio goes through the roof. Your decline rate goes through the roof. Now you're flagged by Visa and MasterCard. And depending on the tolerances of the acquirer, that could mean game over. You're done. You're out of business.
So the way that we've combated that is two things. The first way is that I'm paranoid. Like we're a clean business. We follow all the regulatory rules. We're ROSCA compliant. We're compliant with the banks, right? We do all that stuff right. And we've got great customer service too. Somebody wants a refund outside of the refund window, we just give it to them. We don't want the chargeback or the headache. We do all of that, but still, to mitigate the risk you're talking about, we manage multiple corporations, right? We call them resellers, right? We manage multiple corporations, and each corporation has a handful of merchant accounts. That way, if shit hits the fan, right, and the bank makes a mistake or whatever happens, we can pivot volume over to a different corp, right? Or to different mids under the same corp, because that's compliant. The second thing that we do is we use Checkout Champ, because Checkout Champ gives you the ability to do that very easily. There is no, Matt, trust me, we've looked. There is no other solution out there that enables you to do that and to protect your business from what I think is one of the biggest threats.
To summarize what you just said, Checkout Champ is kind of an insurance policy against the worst possible thing that could happen to your business, which is losing everything, getting shut down and losing everything.
But not kind of, it is 100%. This isn't, you're my friend, right? And I would like, I'm here because you're my friend, but also because everything that you're saying is true. I know because I use it. So if people out there aren't using Checkout Champ, well, good luck. You're taking your chances.
Yeah. And, I've been doing this a long time also, as you know, and it's kind of funny that you said that, because I got a call from another one of our clients that I've known for years, a good guy. He's like, yeah, I'm beating my head against the wall trying to figure out this solution. And after about 2 days of really trying to think about this, I was like, oh, I'll just call Matt Martirato. He'll know. And within 10 minutes, I had 3 solutions for him, and they all worked out. I think, and it's not just me, but I think my team provides that level of expertise to give guidance, because we've seen it all. We've seen what works. We've seen what doesn't work. We can give you best practices for what is going to help increase conversion, increase AOV, increase retention along the board.
You've got the 30,000-foot view, Matt. That's the fact. You're seeing it from a perspective, because one merchant is seeing it from his business's perspective, but you're able to see it from thousands of businesses, which gives you like the 30,000-foot view.
Absolutely. So that brings me into my next point. I know I've taken a lot of your time, but
no. It's okay.
So what are your thoughts? So you've been with us for quite a while, you and Andrew both. What are your thoughts on your Checkout Champ account manager and our support team?
Well, my Checkout Champ account manager happens to be your son.
Yes. Disclaimer, we are a family-owned business, and those that aren't my family, we treat them as if they were, which is why we have a high employee retention rate. People love working for us.
Super high. And Jacob's awesome, man. Jacob and Tyler, actually, we work with both of them. 2 sons. I got 2 for the price of 1 son. They've been fantastic. Listen, we've made over the years numerous requests for like, hey, what about this, Matt? Could you build something like this? You've always done it. I don't know what your policy is these days, but I don't think you ever even charge us for it. You're like, yeah, that's great. That's a great idea. And you guys are fast. You guys are responsive. Most of the other solutions out there, you can hardly get somebody on the phone, as opposed to like, not only do I know my account managers, but I've had dinner and drinks with them and consider them friends and family.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's great to hear. I had done an interview with Mayor for his podcast the other week, and he said, Matt, I've seen your employees would freaking die for you. They are so loyal to you, and I've never seen any company run that way. And I don't know what the secret sauce is. I'd like to think that I'm inspiring, right? And people kind of look up to me, but I think it's just the way that we treat people, like they're a valued part of the team.
You did the Wolf Cast.
The Wolf Cast.
Shout out to the Wolf.
I'm going to hashtag him in this one.
Sure.
Would you recommend Checkout Champ to other e-com store owners, and why?
Look, honest answer. I have to say yes, because you're my boy and you want me to. The truth is, I actually don't want other people using it. I would prefer, to me, Checkout Champ is one of our competitive advantages in business, and I don't like to share competitive advantages. but I got to look at the greater good. You're my boy and tell the truth. And of course, I recommend it highly, but I hope you don't use it because I like to stay ahead.
And if you can give one piece of advice to a young entrepreneur that's just starting out and wants to get into e-com and direct consumer advertising, what would that piece of advice be? I think I know what your answer is going to be, but
Yeah.
I'm anxious to hear what you would say.
I'll say three things. One, it's going to take longer than you think. So be ready to stick this out. Okay.
Grind it out.
Grind it out. You can't quit. You got it. And you got to work harder than you ever have in your life. And if
This isn't a 9 to 5, this is a 9 to 9, 9 to 10, 9 to 11.
And if you have trouble like I did for the first, 2/3 of my career to discipline issues, basically, then you got to figure that out, right? Maybe it is getting a partner and getting that accountability, as Matt pointed out. That's the first thing. This is the grind. Second thing, latch onto the right coattails. Find people that are more experienced and more knowledgeable than you and become their friend, like I did with Matt. That's two.
So hold on a second. So let's add on to that. So what Julian's really saying is build the right network. Your network is going to be your most valuable asset.
I thought you were going to say your network is your net worth.
That would be too cliche.
It's so cliche, but it's true. It does certainly help. It's not the whole thing, obviously, but it's a piece of the pie. And then the third thing is what I alluded to earlier, which is, you know what? As you're going along, practice like deep self-awareness, deep self-honesty, and, spend time asking yourself difficult questions, and eventually, figure out the things that you're not great at and find somebody else to do them. That's it.
Well, and you and I, like, as you'd mentioned, we're great friends, but sometimes it takes someone else being brutally honest with you.
Yeah.
Right. I think you mentioned that a couple of years ago, I gave you a piece of advice that kind of changed your mindset, your perspective.
You did. You
want to share it with the world?
It's no joke. That was a pivotal moment in my career. This was about 5 years ago, right? This was right when Andrew and I were kind of starting to, work together. And one day we were sitting in Puerto Rico. I think we were having Mexican tacos or something. And it was just the two of us sitting there. And you said, at this point, my business was still whatever, $1 to $2 million a year top line, right? Which is not bad. But I think you said to me, I was talking with Nick about it. And I said, man, if Julian really ever put girls on the back burner and hyper focused, he'd have like a $50 million business right now, a year.
My exact statement was,
yeah,
if he put as much energy into his business as he did into picking up chicks,
yeah,
he'd make $50 to $100 million a year.
Yeah. And guess what? That day, two things changed. That day, I was like, man, maybe Matt's right. Because, you got to believe it yourself. Like, it almost gave me confidence. Like, man, maybe I really can do this. And then two, I turned 40, my testosterone dropped like a rock. And I was like, girls, fuck them, not that important. And I hyper-focused.
Okay. So what I thought you were going to say about the one piece of advice to a young entrepreneur is, and I like your piece where you said, be prepared to work, because it takes work. You're not going to get up and work 2 hours a day and then go surf or, have mimosas all afternoon. You're going to have to grind it out until you get to that point where you can do those fun things. But I thought your piece of advice was going to be hire a good copywriter, because a good copywriter is invaluable.
Well, I actually kind of just assumed that people know that, but maybe people don't always know that.
They do not.
Listen, we've tested the crap out of GPT-3 and 4, writes C- to C+ copy. But if you find somebody, even if you're straight ecom, who can produce, B+ or A- copy, for us, that's really been, I think our copy is A- to A+ in general. I'm biased, obviously, but we have some of the very best copywriters in the world, under the Red Hot banner now. But that's been our secret sauce, 100%. Like, we're storytellers at our core. But wait, Matt, one other thing is about what you just said a minute ago about working hard. I want to just comment on that, because I think part of the problem right now is, you've got all these internet marketing gurus, I won't say any names, coming out like, one simple trick to make $10,000 a day. And then, or you have the famous book, The 4-Hour Work Week, just the very concept of that you can build a business and live this beautiful life in 4 hours a week. Straight bullshit. You're gonna have to work harder than you've ever worked in your life if you want to make it.
Oh yeah. Weekends, Saturdays, Sundays, up early, asleep late. I mean, we just got some big contracts in Europe, and I'm finding that I got to go to the office now and be ready for phone calls at 6 a.m. because of the time change. Like, you have to prepare for those shifts and those pivots in the business. And, taking time off and screwing around is not going to make you wealthy. Now, they may make you rich, but there's a difference between rich and wealthy.
Rich and wealthy, for sure. And just to add on to your point, they tell you it's going to be so easy, but here's the thing that most people forget. When your business is first kind of starting, or even if you've been running it for a while, but you've hit these plateaus, you've hit these ceilings, and then you realize you have a vague idea of all the things that you have to do to get this business, where it's cranking. It can be really overwhelming and really scary. I remember that for years. I was like crushed under the weight of all of the work in front of me, really. But the part that, just to give you some encouragement, to people out there listening are like, oh man, I'm not ready to work my ass off, is that it's really, you just have to get over a certain hump. Because if you get over that hump, my dad's a psychologist, he talks about natural contingencies, or you can think about it as positive reinforcement or momentum. Once you kind of get over that hump and good things start to happen, well, now you're riding the wave of these natural contingencies, and suddenly your business becomes the most exciting thing in your life. You don't even care about your wife or your kids anymore, because all of the joy is coming from the business.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about the wife and the kid thing, but Katie always asks me, when are you ever going to retire? You see me, I'm in the office. I love doing what I do. I love it. I love building technology. I love being able to help other companies, entrepreneurs come in and succeed. Watching other people succeed is one of my greatest joys. I love it. Like these young kids, I have just a quick anecdote. There was oh my gosh, it was probably 5 or 6 years ago. The doorbell rings at our office in Georgia.
Mm.
And I let him in, and my receptionist lets him in, and he's here to see Matt Martirano as a referral from Josh Royal, another one of our friends.
Yeah.
And he's this young kid, like skinny, little pimply faced. I'm like, braces. He said, come on, sit down. You're a friend of Josh's. So he sits down, and I said, how old are you? He said, well, Mr. Martirano, I just turned 16. I'm dropping out of high school because I think I can make a go at this internet marketing thing.
Oh.
Is there any advice you can give me? Well, we sat and we talked for about an hour. We continued to talk over the next couple of months, just here and there. But I told him who he should speak to get his operation set up, which I thought would make it easier for him to get going. Well, today he's 21 years old. He has everything in life that he ever wanted. He's making millions of dollars a year, and he's building new offers that will take him even to the next level, which would be, 8 figures, and hopefully someday 9 figures a year. But that's the point. You don't have to, work your 9 to 5. Let's talk about the going to college thing. You went to college, but you went I went in military route. College is not for everybody. If you have a good head on your shoulders, a good work ethic, you do not need to spend $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year on a bullshit college degree, because they're not going to teach you anything that you're going to need in the real world. And this particular client is case in point.
Your business professor in college, he's teaching for 60 grand a year at a university, right? He didn't really make it in business,
No. So there are bigger opportunities out there. If you have a great idea, there are ways to bring that idea and turn it into a reality. That's the point. Anyway.
Well, but Matt, let me just add what you just said again, and that is that you practice what you preach, man, because you've over the last 7 years, 6 or 7 years, you've helped me build my network considerably, and not just in the business world, but also in the wealth building side. And not to say that that's a perk that every new checkout champ's going to get, but if you work the magic, maybe you will.
Another disclaimer. This does not mean you get access to Matt Martirano. You got to earn that right. Not everyone gets to me. And just because you know my name doesn't mean you can. Do not email me. Do not text me. Do not Skype me.
Send him Grandpappy Winkle in the mail, and he will call you back. Trust me.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Julian, I truly appreciate your time today. This was a great conversation. I'm glad we finally got around to doing this, and it turned out great. Your haircut looks great. Look at that fresh trim on the beard, fresh trim on the head. Look at those fly glasses, the red hot shirt. Man, you're looking good.
Thanks, brother.
Have yourself a great week, and I look forward to seeing you soon, buddy.
Very soon.